I was talking with MS Flight Plans recently, and he asked me something along the lines of how I got comfortable flying helicopters. He has a nice channel, by the way, you should check it out. I was thinking about the origin of my helicopter journey today, and following the thread back, I realized that my fascination with helicopters goes back to the 70s, so that's going on 50 years now. I had this toy. I remember wearing the batteries down till it could hardly get off the ground. We didn't have much money growing up, so the batteries were kind of a luxury item for us. My dad was pretty techie, and he wired up a wall-powered power supply so I could fly indefinitely. Helicopters were a thing in those days, for some reason. Hollywood seemed to focus on them at one point. And as much as they go through their genres, there was the era of cop heroes and superheroes and disaster movies and doctor TV shows and lawyers. There were lots of car chases, and there were helicopters. I have to share some scenes of my formative years. I remember seeing this movie when I was a kid, Deadly Encounter. It had some absolutely insane helicopter stunts. The whole movie, as of the posting of this video, is on YouTube, and I think it was pretty hokey, so I'm not recommending it, but the stunts were unreal. And you have to consider, this is a time before CGI. They really did this. They're flying this MD-500 down a busy street with driving cars on it and people on the sidewalk and skidding the skid on the ground. It's outrageous. It's hard to believe I lived in a time when things like that were allowed because in today's litigious society, there's no way this would happen. A movie I can recommend is Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, which you do have to pay to see on YouTube. This is mostly one long car chase movie, but they mix it up by throwing in a helicopter for a little bit. I watched this clip of it and it gave me chills. I tried to replicate this sharp turn in a 206, and I don't know what to tell you. Either Flight Sim does not fully replicate what a 206 is capable of doing, or this pilot is God. I love the moment the pilot tells the driven sheriff they're low on fuel, and he doesn't care. He wants to capture this guy. But the pilot overrides him because they're done, and he pulls away. The sheriff is Vic Morrow, who actually later did die in a tragic movie helicopter accident. MASH was a really huge hit in the 70s with their Bell 47s. And of course there was Magnum PI with their famous MD-500. That's a lot of indoctrinational influence for a young man. I remember wanting to be a pilot, but being told that my eyesight was not really good enough for it. I think that might have been true for commercial licensing in those days, but without the internet and no real way to find out more, I diverted down a different life path. About 20 years ago, I bought an RC helicopter and learned how to fly it. There was actually pretty good simulation software you could use where you actually plugged in the RC controller into your computer to practice flying from the ground. If you think flying a helicopter from the cockpit is hard, imagine flying it from the ground third-person view. I think it's there that I got a real sense of the different forces acting on a helicopter. The torque, the lean, vortex ring state, the bite, all those different failure modes, where in a real RC helicopter that could be a kind of a costly error. I did end up destroying my RC gear, as you needed a rigorous focus to keep them operational, and I was getting too distracted with life stresses. But my fascination for helicopters seems to have been enduring. I play in the safer realms of free online sims with a cheap joystick, good enough for simple entertainment, and then finally having an opportunity to invest in some decent gear capable of running proper sims, all this leading to the explanation of why I fly with no assists. I guess there's a long lineage of undercurrent background that helps me with that. I've never been a pilot, but I have dabbled in the helicopter arts of one kind or another. And so now I just run this modest YouTube channel, and I spend some quality time flying around in a real MD-500 with Mr. D. Not really piloting the way I thought I would love to do when I was young, but far more than I ever expected to do as an engineer, photographer, regular Joe Schlepp. So anyway, all this to say, that's why I feel comfortable at the helicopter controls. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I've been doing it on some level for a long time. Which is not to say that you can't, you just have to kind of embrace it and do it for a long time. Anyway, hope you found that interesting, and until next time, may the feeling of that rotor wash over you.
Huh? Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.